What's up, y'all? LTJ Reads is here. This is throwing light, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. I'm currently on vacation in San Diego. I think I've been somewhere like every weekend so far this month. I just want to remind everybody, please subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can find all these throwing light interviews. If you're on Instagram, you can find the YouTube link right down in the comments or the post. Or if you're watching this on Facebook or any other places, you probably will take you straight to my Instagram account. Please subscribe. Please follow along. It's not just the Throwing Light interviews. We now have Throwing Light tours going on. I'm starting to create some other personal fun kind of content that I'm going to be hopefully starting to release this late spring. So please follow me there. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick it over to our guest, Shane Stevens, Mr. Australian Leather 2023. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you? Thank you so much for having me back.
Of course. So, gosh, I miss you. I just realized that as I'm having this conversation with you.
Yes, I remember our last meeting was in the lobby of the Congress Hotel, and that was really
It's about to
meaningful
be,
to
and
me.
that's like almost a year. Isn't that crazy? And then it's going to be a year before, and I'm going to see you at this IML. So you won't be as busy. So, I'm hoping that we get to hang out a bit this coming year. So what's been up? What's going on? It's about to be IML time again. What was life like after you were done?
Uh, I tried to slow down actually, but it never really happened. It still hasn't happened. But um, right now, I think I'm in the midst of kind of mentoring and helping the next contestants that are going to come across, and really, giving them, letting them know what to expect. So I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm still attending community events and running community events. It's just as busy as it was before IML.
That's what I like to hear. I am no doubt surprised that you are what I consider the epitome of a true title holder, one that was doing the work before, one that was doing the work during, and you're continuing to do the work. So that's why our energies attract each other. So before we get into like kind of coaching the new class and all of that, because what's interesting is like last year I think I had Igor come on and kind of talk about supporting you guys last year, and Igor is my IML brother. So you've been back in Australia post IML. When you and I remember you quite well on stage, you did great. If I were to do IML again, I would study you because you went out with stage presence and you did so little, but you did so much at the same time. And so like you had the flag and then you went out and you like posed like on like front center with the flag. It seems so easy, but it wasn't because that was your aura and your energy that was kind of coming out with it. You got top 20, you know what I'm saying? So I mean like it you you care about this community, you care about what you do. It shows so much. And I was glad that you got to at least step back on in the top 20 and get to show more of what you had to offer. I was really rooting for international contestants, last year to really be up in our top 20. um, but just being back in Australia, like what's been the challenges that you've been kind of dealing with right now?
Um, I mean, just a quick side note: we've just had Mardi Gras, which has been amazing, and we've had Renee here, current IML. I'm currently staying at my house right now. Is David Weeble, Mr. Leather Europe 2025, so from my class as well. Um, I think, yeah, some of the challenges, I guess, are still maintaining Australian visibility in the global scene of the leather scene. That's definitely still something I'm trying to work on, and to kind of remind the rest of the world that, you know, Australian scenes, the Asian scene, they all are, still very prevalent scenes, and could do with a little bit more attention from the rest of the world.
So, what would you bring attention to? What's the first thing that would pop in your head if you're like, this is what's going on with the Australian leather community, this is what we focus on? What would that be?
We're definitely on the wave of inclusion and being mindful of inclusion and trying to create those spaces. They're popping up all of the time. New inclusive titles. We're trying to really lead that charge, as it were. Um, and I think like Renee and visitors, international visitors, all come away from Australia with how friendly and how diverse our community is here, and then they're surprised by how long it's been running too. Um, so yeah, I think we've got so much to offer to the rest of the world and to the international uh,
Being in
people.
being in Brisbane, are there any challenges that are unique to your area as opposed to other places like
Yeah, we can't
Sydney?
wear yeah, we can't wear as much leather most of the year round because it is just hot and humid. So you'll see us a lot in like shorts and vests, those kind of things. Which then actually like relating that to things in leather is like we have a really bad problem up here because of the humidity with mold on leather, for example. Um,
Oh.
yeah, so you've got to keep them in the temperature controlled spaces. And then you've got to really keep the maintenance up on that, which really opens the doorways for boot blacks to be able to take care of your leathers for you.
Feel like this is such a I don't because there's obviously more important things to focus on, but I'm actually fascinated with because I'm in Texas, obviously, and it's super. But like mold in leather is not something that I've heard a lot of conversation about. How hot does it get where you are?
So last night around midnight, it was about 25 degrees. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. Humidity was about 87%. So it's extremely sweaty.
Okay, yeah, I can't convert Celsius to degrees, unfortunately. This should be something that Americans should be responsible to do, but I can't tell you right off the top of my head. When you say 25, it seems low, but I know that that's like not the
Yeah,
case. I know
yeah,
that 100 degrees Celsius is 212 Fahrenheit. I know that much because that's the
yeah,
top.
yeah, yeah.
All
It's
right,
it's very
so
very hot.
does it make it hard? Do you do you feel like you're showing up any less authentically in leather, being with the weather and it being hot? Do Everyone obviously understands that's living there. They're like, hey, if Shane doesn't show up in full leather at noon tomorrow, that doesn't make him any less of a leather person.
Yeah, I think no. I think we've definitely come to a compromise, and we use a lot more denim. Use a lot more vests and the harnesses and those kind of things because it's not cold here. It rarely gets cold here. So yeah, it's just I think it's a more freeing experience to be honest because you get to combine different materials and different styles of outfits rather than always the big heavy fluff. Having said that, there is an expectation, and I've been thinking about this a lot actually. But there's an expectation that when you hold a leather title, that you must show up in full leather to every event with your sash or your title on display. And I don't think that's a realistic expectation for the general population to have on us. General communities to have on us is that we must be in full leather. Otherwise, we're less of a leather person. I think that's view could be certainly opened up a little bit more and people open their minds a little bit more.
But also expense. Like everybody can't. We should not be judging someone if they're wearing some of their same leather looks. I mean, that type of stuff. It's not affordable for everybody.
Right. Denim is a big part of our history and our traditions. And it was originally, uh, I wear a lot of it and it was originally introduced and used because it was cheap and it was hard wearing. So it was accessible. Um, and that's why I continue to wear it. So, it's still sexy as hell to wear and to see people wearing. So, yeah, I think there are certainly more accessible options It takes many of us many years to get the collections that we have because it's just so expensive.
Um, Coming back. So when you finished IML and you got back home, what did you feel like you needed to continue the most?
Visibility and mentorship are the two things. Continue to show up. Don't be, you know, don't be one of those that goes to IML and then takes a back seat, as it were. But
Disappears?
yeah, it disappears. And that's not always intentional. I understand burnout's a huge thing. You try so hard in the prep for these things. You've done your title years. You've done you're doing your work. But I tried to create things over the past kind of 10 years that I can continue to do. They're not just time sensitive. Um, and if at any point you don't enjoy doing those things anymore, then it's time to move on from those things and take care of yourself. But yeah, I think I didn't want to be that. I wanted to continue to show up. I wanted to continue to create spaces and continue to mentor not just the next generation of IML contestants, but the next generation of community leaders. I don't want to use the term just title holders because there are leaders that are not title holders, have never held a title, never ran for a title. It's about supporting all of those people, organizations, and continuing to do so.
What does mentorship look like to you?
Mentorship comes in many forms. A lot of education. I certainly like to uh, talk through history, especially with like the younger generation coming in, and just to remind them that why we do the things we do, some of the things that they may face throughout their journey, right the way through to boot blacking. I do boot blacking myself, have done for nearly 30 years. And it's just, here's how to look after your own gear. Here's, you know, how a simple bulldog harness should fit you. Um, you know, this is what the symbolism behind buckles at the front of a bulldog harness and buckles at the back of a bulldog harness is. It's all of those things that I don't think, or we tend to read as many books as we used to. I'm not sure we feel that many of us feel that those things matter. We just want to kind of go out and party. We've also got to be mindful of everybody else's experiences, past experiences, and their attitudes towards things, so that we can all create a symbiotic space where we all understand what we're doing and we're doing it with intention.
So, um, one aspect I think it's hard to be a leather person is that sense of carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, I guess. A lot of times we feel like um if we don't keep going, that other people will give up if we give up, right?
Mm, yeah.
And in terms of, and I'll mention this again at the end, Shane will be back next month with returning Brendan, Josie. And did I say it right, Josie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got the four new contestants that everyone will be meeting. We'll talk about all of them. But, you know, most people when they feel they need to lead they just naturally fall into that or guide, and it seems like you have been kind of the person that is stepping up to kind of guide everyone for this next class. um I don't know if I'm going to ask this question. I guess maybe I could save this question for you. So we're going to say that that's an IML question. But if there's one aspect of being in this community that you feel were the most important piece of knowledge for someone in this community to know internationally, in Australia, wherever, what would that piece of information or knowledge be?
Um, Most important thing, if I
Ooh, that's
told,
a good. I got you. I got a good question there.
you did,
That's
you got a
fine.
great question because
I
there's
can
so
play.
much.
I can play theme music until you answer.
No, there's so much. I think, look, the number one thing to remember in this community is it's when you come into this community and as a fetish person or a kinkster, it's like a second coming out. Okay, it can be tough, um, but I think the reason you've got to understand your why. Why are you in this community? If you're running for titles and those kind of things, it's also understanding have a real solid why because you're going to rely on it. And I think the crux of that, I think most people that join this community to find their authentic selves, to be their authentic selves. And if you lose your sense of your authentic self at any point throughout that journey, stop, reset. I think that's super important to remember throughout, no matter if you've been in this community for, 3 weeks or 30 years. Um, Remember your why you chose this to find this community, why you're a part of this community, and maintain that authenticity.
So let's go back. Being a leather person, you hinted at and you described this as a second coming out. Why do we have to come out a second time as leather people?
It's an interesting topic that I think a lot of it is to do with shame. I think when you initially come out, I think, or when I know, I can only speak from my personal experience, but I know when I first came out as a gay man, again, it was shame. It was society telling me that being gay was wrong or, disgusting, or all of these things, all of these slurs that people throw out at you. And then you spend your time after that, maybe even prior to that, maybe you're in it, but you spend also, there's thoughts going around, why am I sexually interested in this particular fetish that's not normal, it's not kind of sort of what you taught or what your mates talk about when you're growing up. So there's a lot of shame. Why am I into it? Oh, I wish I wasn't into it. Oh, am I messed up? Do I need to go and see a therapist or, a sex therapist? So you spend a lot of your time, many of us, many years, coming to grips with that, um, and trying to accept that. So once you accept it in yourself, then you think about being, oh, I can go, oh, there's spaces that exist for me. And you find, these clubs. And then you go to these clubs and you're finally starting to accept yourself. And then you are then publicly coming out as a fetish person and that you're interested in fetish and fetish folk. And it is entirely like the second coming out. And people still, we have it now. People still, it's still so difficult to talk about these things with your friends, your real close friends, and your family. Um, Many people have like hidden social media accounts, for example, where they don't display, the fetish side of them, the visible fetish side of them to their personal side. And that obviously comes down to jobs and feeling safe. But um, yeah, it's still a bit of an underground thing. So you're still trying to come out. It's just, yeah, it's a second coming out. And it's mostly accepting yourself and that whatever you're into, providing that it doesn't harm people, um, it's okay.
So I'm going to go a little deeper with you,
Mm,
Shane, and this is probably going to be an even harder question. Though we can't really speak for this experience, something you said is that getting a sex therapist. You said specifically a sex therapist. So my
mhm,
question to you is, being involved in the leather community and the kink community, there might be some asexual connections as well, right?
mhm.
So, if people, what advice would you give someone that's just feels comfortable being in our community? Um, how do we teach them to go get that help? Like how would you guide them to going to talking to someone about their sexual identity and why they feel connected to the leather community? Like how do we create that dialogue?
I think it's about a lot of it's about empathy and visibility. I think, and it's about them understanding that you understand them. It's the reason we have all of the different flags, the diverse flags that we have. Is representation. And if just one person in that crowd sees a particular flag that they identify with, um, it could really start something for them. And then it's about uh, those knowledgeable, those with contacts, and those deeper conversations rather than just at a bar, in a dark bar with loud music. Um, if you get to know many of the folk in your community beyond those and you know, have cups of tea at home with them and those kind of things, and they start to open up and they feel more comfortable talking about these deeper things. Um, and then it all goes from there, you know. You can put them in touch with other clubs and organizations where they feel a little bit more heard and understood. Um, and yeah, but it's ultimately it's communication, right? That's the crux of it. It's communication. If we don't communicate, if we all just stand around in silence and not understanding each other and not educating ourselves on these things, well, we're never going to progress. We're never going to keep moving forward like we are.
Do you feel that we are moving forward as
I,
as a culture?
I think, yeah, I think if we didn't move forward, if we've never progressed, this community would have been non-existent a long, long time ago. And you simply just have to look at history um, and talk to older generations that have lived through some really, really hard times. We're living through hard times now, um, and it's a pattern. But see, we're learning a lot of lessons. We're not just ignoring those lessons from, 30, 40, 50 years ago, so that our current situation might not be as hard or we might not make the same mistakes. That's progress in itself. Listening, understanding the past, and then actually acting on that to stop us going down that rabbit hole, so to speak. Um, yeah, and then as simple as colors on harnesses, that's progress as well. Or those puppy hoods and all being different colors and now having to have those conversations. That's even progress because back in the day it was just simple black and white and grey and that was pretty much it. But now we've got colors for self-expression. There's progress. Right now we've got different spaces, more inclusive spaces, different titles, inclusive titles. It's all progress. We're all heading in the right direction, but we've got to understand, just like prides and folks that say, oh, you've got equality and why are you still marching? There are still so many issues that we have. We don't have equality, and we've still got a long way to go. And I don't think it'll ever be over. I think the people from the 80s thought that if they put the hard work in then, it would kind of come to an end. But history tells us that it never has. It's a constant battle. And we've just got to keep pushing forward.
How do you keep people optimistic with a viewpoint like that, which is an honest viewpoint that we go through cycles of this, of injustice and justice? We could, if we would like pay attention to this, we could break the cycle. But for some reason, humans choose to repeat the same things over and over again. I don't know why we can't just be like, hey, this did not work out the 72 other times that this happened. Like, we need to stop doing this. I think that takes an elevation of the mind and the spirit to want to use the brain, one at full capacity to manifest things that are positive in the world. That's a whole like either you got it or you don't. And some people do learn it. Like a lot of racists become less racist or denounce racism as they get older because they start seeing these other ways that people are treated and realize they don't want to treat people like that. Unfortunately, we have these minority of wealth and people that don't value human life the same as the rest of the world. So it's a small group of people that create this culture and climate that we put up with. You know, over here we got all these documentaries coming out about American entertainment, especially in reality television, and how people have been treated. So and it's like here we are saying these things are happening, but no one is coming up with like, hey, because the same issues that are going on in entertainment industries and stuff and how they abuse people are still happening today. No one's talking about a solution.
Yeah,
So, you know, that's the issue. We have to also look at our community too, because we're going through cycles too. And we're not talking like, hey, how do we end this? We're not talking about how do we end this. It's just
yeah,
like, oh, we gotta fight, we gotta fight. But how what does the end of the fight look like for us? That's what we need to be talking about. And go for it.
yeah. I don't know if there is an end. You know, there's always going to be new issues that always crop up, and might not be things that we faced before, um, unprecedented times.
Like now,
So
in a lot of ways, a lot of unprecedented things are happening right now.
yeah, yeah. So I think I think it will be constant, but I think going back to the first point is how do you keep people optimistic? Is you look at the positives and celebrate the victories that we've had in the past. We honor the past, um, and, and thank those that have fought for us and fought for our rights, and fought for the progress that we currently have now. And we continue to fight for the next generation to have an even better, easier journey. Um, so I think that's how we stay positive, and that's how we help enlighten people, is really drive home. And that's what this uh, channel does that you have. Um, it's about throwing light. It's about focusing on our positives. We've got so much evil in this world going on. Having conversations about the good things, and laughing about the good things, and appreciating that, because I think sometimes we take it for granted. It's all about privilege, right? I'm a privileged white man. I was born into that privilege. Um, doesn't doesn't diminish that privilege just because I was born into it. Um, but I acknowledge it and I share it, and then we can all celebrate the fact that there are people sharing their privilege, making it easier for everybody else. Um, so yeah, it's celebrating the good things and recognizing the victories. We've got to focus on that. We can't keep focusing on the hate and the evil in this world.
You have a very, very calming, level-headed conversational style, conversational, converse. I don't know. Anyways, you're all right. You're right, 100% in all of these viewpoints. I you're right. Yeah, I don't have much for you in regards to add anything to that, because as much as we want to say that one day everybody will be all equal. You're right, because and what I want to go back to what you mentioned is communication. That's our problem. And we're learning new language through our in our community, obviously, and how we identify with ourselves. And we have a very lazy culture, lazy mind. Diversity is stupid, diversity is weak, or like some people grow up thinking that doing the extra work to understand somebody is not worth their time. Especially what's going on over here right now. They rather scoff at pronouns than just learn how to call someone by the pronouns they will. That's not hard. I don't understand why we make inclusions much harder than what it is. I think.
Yeah,
Or there's
it's
definitely people
often
that don't like us. There's definitely, straights or whatever you want to say, they don't understand us. Like it's not a bad thing to understand someone's attraction, and that they're not attracted to you just because they have a same-sex attraction. There are all these like myths and made up traumas that white people, not white people, straight people think that gay people are doing to them. Like gay people or heterosexuals, lesbians, bisexuals, they're not doing anything by existing. And that seems to be what the issue is. They do not want us to exist because it makes them have to question who they are. And that's what they don't want to do.
Yeah, they have to kind of start having us existing, and them having to try and open their minds and understand something that they wasn't raised understanding. I guess, especially when we talk about a lot of the older generations. I was actually saying this not so long ago, even back when I was growing up. Um, whilst trans folks existed in my particular town, there was few and far between, and I think that's a lot to do with society persecuting them, and they just wouldn't be visible and you wouldn't see them. And then you have slurs used like cross-dresser instead of actually a trans person, trying to diminish that person, trying to humiliate that person for living their authentic life. Um, and I think that does come from the mainstream society, those attitudes, and they continue to bleed through uh, society, mainstream society. And that's what we're constantly fighting. But from in our own community and from your friends and from your families, it's about one small thing, such as using the correct pronoun, not dead naming someone. Um, it's really small to us. It's not a big effort, but you know what? It makes a huge difference to the person that we're using it for. And we need to understand that. You need to just be nice to people. I don't understand.
I don't
It
understand
takes
either. I don't
it takes
understand
so much
either.
it takes so much more effort to be hateful of someone.
And people will do the work to be hateful, and they do not
Right.
want to do the work to be good. It's crazy. It's
Mm.
insanity. It's insanity.
Mm.
All right, Shane. Well, I've got one more question left for you. What is one aspect of our community that you feel that we are not, or I mean, remember, you're in Australia, so what is one important issue that you think is important to face right now? That's something that we're not shedding enough light on.
Something we're not shedding enough light on. There are so many, but I think, look, I think we focused on it. It's been the theme of this entire discussion that we've had. Um, but it is about focusing on the positives and really continuing to uh, fight for, even if it doesn't affect us. Okay, you might not identify as a trans person, you might not even know a trans person. Um, Chances are you will, but even issues that don't affect you but can help our community on a bigger scale, put the work in. Okay, support these movements, um, and do it with love. I think sometimes we forget that, and I think that's really important to throw some light on. Is whatever you do, do with intention, good intentions, and do it with love. Um, you know, Anger, hatred, violence. That's not moving us forward. We're going to end up villainizing ourselves. We've got to do it in a peaceful, um, loving, kind manner if we're going to make long term gains for our entire community.
I thank you so much, Shane, for being on here. I'm sure you're obviously you're look. Whenever you feel like there's something you need to discuss or talk about, and you want to come on here and do an episode, you're welcome here as much as you like, Shane. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate everything that you bring. I think you're important. I think you're necessary. And I continue to be excited to go through this world, knowing that you exist and knowing that we have formed a brotherhood. And I'm excited to know that you're someone that's going to stick around. So that's always a good feeling, to know that you've got strong people all over the world. Before we close the show, I do want to let everybody know Shane will be back in a month from now, to be doing the IML 48 Aussie class, being joined by Brendan Josie from last year, What was Brendan's title?
Mr. Queensland Leather 2023.
Queensland Leather 2023. So we'll be introducing you to all of those people soon. Continue to support Shane and the Australian community in any way you can. Keep up what's going on. Follow him. Follow the many contests that they have around the country, including Sydney Leather. Um, so, with that being said, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Shane. There's one thing that you have to do before I let you go. Do you know what that is?
I do know what that is. I don't think I've ever had the chance to do it, so this is going to be fun.
Here you go. You'll have to do it again too next month. So get ready. Here we go. One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
You did it. That was your first time. Now that I think about it, so
Yes.
you're gonna have to say
I
it in
just,
unison next month. You have to say it in unison with everybody. So we'll see
oh,
how
that's going
that
to be
goes.
chaos. I just want to take the moment to thank you for what you do. It does make a huge difference to those that do watch these things or that talk about these things. It opens up conversations. And the fact that you're continuing to do the work, you are one of those important people that continue to inspire on an international level. So I really want to thank you and remind you of the importance of what you're doing. So, yeah, thank you for what you do. And thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you so much. I'm a huge ally. So anything I can do, I'm here, okay?
Yes, no dramas. Well, you have fun and take care of yourself.
All right, y'all. Well, that's us. We're going to be out and we'll see you in a month. Bye.